Fox News alert: the president in Argentina today, a day after what happened in Brussels, and still the questions coming at that bilateral joint news conference with the president of Argentina. Moments ago, he was asked, Mr. Obama, why were you at a baseball game instead of coming back to the United States or going to Europe? I'm paraphrasing the question. I don't have to paraphrase the answer. Watch.
I mentioned at the baseball game yesterday, one of my proudest moments as president was watching Boston respond after the Boston Marathon attack, because they taught America a lesson. They grieved. I was there for the memorial. We apprehended those who had carried this out. But a few days later, folks were out shopping. A few days later, people were in that baseball stadium and singing the national anthem. And Big Papi was saying what he felt about Boston, Boston strong, and how a terrorist attack was not going to change the basic spirit of that city. Well, at that moment, he spoke.
I want to get your response.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting approach there, I think, from the president, quoting David Ortiz, Big Papi from the Boston Red Sox, who is, I should point out, not the president of the United States. And he talked about what the people of Boston did after the bombing a few days later, going back to their normal lives. The president sat next to a two-bit dictator doing the wave at a baseball game the day of the attack in Brussels, with people still on the loose, with body parts still scattered at that airport, at that metro stop. I don't think that that's a great answer. And by the way, here's what I was thinking. And I think sometimes you make it a little bit about yourself and myopic, but just as an example for this show, if often on Outnumbered, on a slower news day, we'll talk about fun stories. We'll talk about, oh, there's a new survey about married couples, and we'll have some banter. When something like a terrorist attack happens, the whole plan changes. Jay and the crew say, no, the rundown is different. We are focusing on breaking news and what matters. And the discussion on this couch was yesterday completely different than your run-of-the-mill, prosaic episode of Outnumbered. The same adjustment ought to be made by the President of the United States and the leader of the free world.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do want to interject something that you've been saying today, Katie, and let you take it away on this. There are Americans who got caught up in this. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard yet the President mention on his own, without the prompting of questions, about the Americans who were there. 3 missionaries that we know of from Utah, the military officer and his family who were injured in all of this.
The first thing that the president gets briefed on when there is an attack overseas is how many Americans they know were involved, how many were injured, how many were killed, and whether any of them are missing. It's not that President Obama doesn't know about the Americans. He is choosing to ignore the situation.
Thank you all very much. We had a lot to digest this hour. Thank you for watching. Happening Now will happen right after the break, and we'll be back here at noon Eastern tomorrow with more Outnumbered.